Hey Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, Andy Beshear is sworn in as governor. We'll talk about his plans and Matt Bevin's final hours in office. Plus, UK basketball hosts a unique 2020 prospect. All that and more is next on Hey Kentucky. Welcome to Hey Kentucky. Former Lexington City Councilman Kevin Stinnett is my co-host tonight. This is a big day in Frankfort.
Big day. But first, I've got to give a shout out to the longtime viewer, Bobby Joe Russell. She loves Hey Kentucky, huge Wildcat fan, so shout out to her tonight.
Okay, let's begin with tonight's big news in Frankfort as the state welcomes in its new governor. Andy Beshear was officially sworn into office overnight. The 42-year-old Democrat follows in the footsteps of his father, Steve Beshear, the former two-term governor of Kentucky. They are the first father-son duo to serve as governors in the state's history. Jacqueline Coleman was also sworn in as lieutenant governor early this morning, and then this afternoon, thousands of people attended the public inauguration. During his inaugural speech, Beshear announced his first official act as Kentucky's governor.
On Thursday, I will sign an executive order restoring voting rights to over 100,000 men. To over 100,000 men and women who have done wrong in the past but are doing right now.
Beshear also signed an executive order to create a new state school board, and the board responded by saying it's filing a motion to challenge that in court. Kevin, that was the biggest applause that Andy got today, was restoring felon voting rights, which I think is awesome. But this school board thing is, we're already off to a testy start. Already a lawsuit filed.
He couldn't wait. Already hit the ground running, so to speak. Great for the felons. We needed that long time ago. But this will set the tone going forward. But I did like his unity. He spoke a lot about unity and wanting that in Kentucky. I think we need that.
Well, and I think that's a huge reason he got elected. You know, there was such an air of divisiveness that, hopefully for the time being, at least, we're happy.
We're all happy.
and unified. All right, before Governor Beshear took office, he made his final round of high-level appointments to his administration yesterday. The names include retired Supreme Court Justice Mary Noble as Justice Secretary, Labor Cabinet Secretary Larry Roberts, who held the same post under Governor Steve Beshear, and Commonwealth Office of Technology Commissioner Ruth Day, who comes from the private sector. Beshear also drew on his Office of Attorney General for three other appointees: Energy and Environment Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Goodman, Personnel Cabinet Secretary Jarena Weathers, and Deputy Chief of Staff Jonathan Smith. Beshear says it took a while to complete his appointments because he wanted to get things right. Kevin, you seem to have reached out to all parts of the state to fill out his appointments. Do you like what he's done?
I do. I think there's a lot of experience, a lot of people who have been in those roles before, but it's people coming from the private sector, and I think that's a big deal in public service because I think it gives you perspective on both sides.
Do you have any issue with any of the appointees?
I don't, and I think it's because the governor's going to appoint who they want, who they feel is best to help them run this state, and that's their privilege. So I encourage all of them to work hard for every Kentuckian, and the governor's their boss, though.
There you go. All right, well, Matt Bevin had a busy last day in office as governor. He spent yesterday morning and afternoon in ceremonies involving military families, where he got emotional thanking them.
For the sacrifice of those who have served, from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the people of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, I thank you. As a citizen of America, I thank you.
Bevin also chose to pardon several prisoners for their crimes. A tweet from Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes included a photo of a sentence commutation for Irvin Edge, who was convicted of murder in Warren County at 1993. That came after pardons for 49 other people last week, including some convicted of drug trafficking, who Bevin wrote had paid their debt to society. Kentucky's public advocate says the governor's executive power to pardon people convicted of crimes or commute sentences is an integral part of the justice system.
I hope Governor Bevin takes advantage of that and looks for injustice or unreasonable sentences or areas where the law is not being applied in a way that meets public policy, and he uses his executive power to fix that.
Andy Beshear apparently wasn't given access to the governor's mansion until 10 o'clock last night, allowing him and his staff just 2 hours to prepare for his swearing in. And the pardoning, every governor does that on the way out. I did like seeing the emotion from Matt Bevin. This has had to have been, while he's put on a brave, albeit strange face, that this has had to be an emotional time.
Oh, definitely. But, he still said he didn't have any regrets. And, I think that that tells you a lot. But this is a good transition. And I think, the pardons, why don't we do that at the beginning of their term?
Yeah.
I mean, if these people are worthy enough to be pardoned and they're waiting in jail, they're not going anywhere. So, I wonder why the theory is to do it at the end, at the very last day. Who knows? But maybe we should change that, Governor Beshear.
That would be a good idea. That seems reasonable. All right, staying with politics. An Indiana law firm was paid at least $600,000 by Matt Bevin's administration for an investigation of former Governor Steve Beshears' administration. But Bevin's people reportedly refused to release what they received from the law firm. The Lexington Herald leader asked for any reports from the firm, but only received one from January 2017. The report said state employees in the Steve Beshear administration were pressured to donate to the 2015 campaigns of Jack Conway and Andy Beshear with the threat of losing their jobs. A spokeswoman for Andy Beshear says the matter will be reviewed. Kevin, $600,000 is a lot for you not to tell us what you were looking for. But that also sounds horrible if your job is being threatened if you don't donate to a campaign.
That's a lot of roads that could have been paved or a lot of projects out there. But I think a lot of these things have already played out in the press. I think if there was something in this report, you'd have heard about during the election season. So, I think it's money that we're never going to get back.
Yeah, you would have definitely heard about it. There's no joke there. All right, a liberal political action committee has announced a $45 million campaign aimed at the Bluegrass and 15 other battleground states in 2020. The Progressive Turnout Project has one goal: to bounce Kentucky senior senator from office by boosting voter turnout amongst Democrats. The project's executive director says, quote, "Winning in Kentucky isn't just about scoring a moral victory. It's a strategic imperative for Democrats. If we hope to rebuild our fractured politics and institutions, we need to remove the king of partisan warfare, Mitch McConnell." The Senate Majority Leader's campaign manager responds with this quote: "Left-wing liberals from the coasts hate that Senator McConnell gives Kentuckians a seat at the leadership table, and they're willing to pay anything to erase our voice." Kevin, if Mitch McConnell doesn't win, things change dramatically in the entire country, truly.
They definitely do, and it takes Kentucky off the map because he's our highest-ranking officer we've ever had in Congress. So, this is what you get when you have Trump come to Kentucky and campaign. Now we're front and center in the national spotlight, and we're a target. The Democrats want to change the state blue.
Yeah, mostly because they want Mitch McConnell, because he's one of the most powerful people in the United States, period. And those who don't agree with him definitely want to see him out.
And it works both ways. The red wants to see the blue folks out. So, it's part of the game, part of the politics, and it's going to be an interesting election year next year. He does have a battle in for him with Amy McGrath.
Yep. All right, turning to UK basketball, the Cats hosted a 7'2" international star for an unofficial visit yesterday. Kai Sotto moved from the Philippines to the U.S. earlier this year. He's currently enrolled at the Skill Factory in Atlanta as a 2020 prospect. ESPN lists Soto as a 4-star, number 76 overall prospect, and the number 11th ranked center in the senior class. Though limited athletically, the big man has impressive tools on the offensive end of the floor, highlighted by a soft touch around the basket and a pretty smooth jump shot. Unlike other high-profile prospects, Soto wanted the entire world to know just how much he enjoyed his trip to Lexington. Kevin, he was basically live tweeting things. Every time he would go to a different part of the facility, he would send out a picture. It was actually pretty cool to follow along with.
It really was, and to see Coach Kyle working out, that was really cool. And he kind of put Kenny Payne. Man, Kenny Payne looks small, and Kenny Payne's a big guy.
Yeah.
This kid could be the real deal for us one day. If he's not coming to Kentucky, I'd be very shocked because all those tweets yesterday just looked awful.
Well, he doesn't really have any confirmed offers yet. He's got interest from other schools, so we'll see if a lot of times you come to Kentucky, now other schools all of a sudden showing interest.
It's good to be blue.
Yeah, so we'll see if that happens. All right, up next on Hey Kentucky, we've talked about Lynn Bowden being named a finalist for the prestigious college football honor of the Paul Hornung Award. We'll talk with the man in charge of handing that out tomorrow. and see if he gives us any indication of whether or not Lynn's going to win it. Stay with us.